It all began on an evening I thought would be like any other. My name is Emily Carter, and for most of my life, I considered myself the type of person who liked predictability. I worked at a local bookstore in Portland, Oregon, loved quiet mornings with coffee and paperbacks, and kept my circle of friends small. Life felt safe that way. But sometimes, life doesn't care for safety or predictability. Sometimes it comes knocking, literally, and nothing is ever the same again. That night, rain fell against my window in a steady rhythm. I had just curled up on the couch with an old quilt, a bowl of soup, and a novel I had promised myself I would finally finish. The quiet of my apartment felt comforting after a long day of shelving books and helping customers. I was halfway through a paragraph when a sharp sound startled me out of a story. A knock. At first, I thought I had imagined it. Nobody ever came by unannounced. My best friend, Jessica, always called first. My parents lived 2 states away. My neighbors usually minded their own business. Yet there was again, firm, clear, and steady. I set the book down, my heart ticking faster than it should have for something so ordinary. Something about the timing of it, the stillness of the night broken by that sound, made it feel almost otherworldly. I walked to the door, pressing my ear against it for a second before opening it. Standing on the other side was a man I had never seen before. He looked about my age, maybe a little older, late 20s, early 30s. He was tall, with dark hair damp from the rain, and a jacket that clung to him as though he'd been walking a while. His eyes, blue, piercing but soft at the edges, met mine, and he smiled apologetically. "Hi," he said, his voice carrying a warmth that surprised me. "I'm sorry to bother you, but I think I might be lost." I blinked, unsure whether to laugh, shut the door, or ask questions. "Lost? In this neighborhood?" He chuckled, running a hand through his wet hair. "Yeah, I know, it sounds ridiculous. But my phone died, and I was supposed to meet a friend nearby. I must have taken a wrong turn. Yours was the only door with light showing, so I thought I'd try my luck." There was something disarming about the way he said it. Not desperate, not pushy, just genuine. I hesitated for a second before stepping aside. "Well, you can come in for a minute. At least get out of the rain while you figure it out." His relief was immediate. "Thank you. Really? I promise I'm not a serial killer." I laughed despite myself. That's exactly what a serial killer would say. We both smiled, and I realized how odd, yet strangely natural, it felt to let this stranger into my small, quiet space. Inside, he looked around with a kind of curiosity that wasn't judgmental, more like he was trying to piece together who I was from the walls lined with bookshelves and the half-finished painting resting against a corner. "Nice place," he said, shrugging off his jacket carefully, making sure not to drip on the carpet. "Cozy." "Thanks," I replied, unsure why my cheeks felt warm. "So, do you want to use my charger or just need directions?" "Both, if you don't mind," he said, pulling his phone from his pocket. "Name's Daniel, by the way. Daniel Miller." "Emily," I said, taking the phone and plugging it in near the counter. That's how it began. A simple knock, a lost stranger, and an evening that unfolded into something far more meaningful than I could have predicted. We ended up talking while his phone charged, at first about simple things, like where he was trying to go and how long he'd lived in Portland. But soon, the conversation slipped into deeper waters without either of us realizing it. We talked about books. He admitted he wasn't much of a reader, but he had a soft spot for adventure stories. We talked about music, travel, and even embarrassing childhood stories that made both of us laugh until my sides hurt. Time blurred. The rain slowed outside, and the soup I had abandoned on the table went cold, but I didn't care. There was something about Daniel's presence that felt like a spark in a room I hadn't realized had grown dim. When his phone finally lit up, he glanced at it, then back at me. "Looks like I should head out. But honestly, I don't feel like leaving." The way he said it, gentle, almost uncertain, made my chest tighten. I wasn't someone who believed in fate or destiny. But sitting there, looking at him, I wondered if maybe I had been wrong. From that night onward, everything shifted.